And so get yourself into a nice seated position that's comfortable for you. If you're feeling like you're having to lean back and you can't get that spine up straight, feel free to grab a blanket or a pillow, something to raise your hips up a little bit. And let's just start by getting nice and long through that spine and connecting with your breath. See if you can deepen and lengthen that breath, filling up your lungs and filling up your belly, letting that belly expand. And as you exhale, letting all that air out. As you inhale, imagine growing taller through that spine. And as you exhale, let those shoulders come away from the ears, noticing if this is an area where you tend to hold tension. And we'll take a few more deep breaths here coming into our practice. So tonight, I really want to focus on patience a little bit here. And I just did a journey last week, which I know some of you joined me in. And the journey was about gardening. And when I got to my garden, it was all set up, ready to grow, but it needed time to grow because I only had seedlings. And right now is the time where we're trying to figure out the best things to do with our time. And there's a lot of time to sit with ourselves. We don't have the distractions that we're used to. We can't just jump in the car and go hang out with people or go shopping for the sake of shopping. And so I want to really take some time today working on patience. And to do that, we're going to do a few poses that we're going to hold a little bit longer, almost like they're yin poses. I did this in the vinyasa class earlier today where there was a lot of sensation and focus to kind of power through, like if you're holding a difficult pose. But when we're doing it for long, deep stretches, the challenge is really going to be to stay focused on your breath and to not let your mind get cluttered with what do you have to do after class, what happened today. So today the real challenge is going to be, as we do these longer poses, to try to stay connected with that breath and figure out where you're holding on to tension in the body and see if over time you can start to release that. We're going to have a little bit more time in these poses to really try to let go, and also to be curious on what comes up when you have to sit with yourself and you don't have the distractions. So let's just take a couple more poses here in our seated position. Really using this breath. So I do love to flow in my classes, but when we are sitting still, then the breath itself becomes the flow. Really filling up the lungs and the belly, and then identifying where in your body you're feeling tight. Where are you holding tension? Imagine yourself bringing the breath into those areas. And every time you exhale, just releasing a little bit more from those areas. So take the next 3 breaths. See if you can find those places. Are you clenching your jaw? Are you scrunching up your forehead? Are your shoulders up near your ears? Are your hips tight? Are you clenching your glutes or your hamstrings or quads? And see if you can find release for the next couple of breaths. And let's gently come over our knees onto hands and knees. So you can bring the legs behind you. Letting the hands come right beneath the shoulders and the knees right below the hips, really grounding into all 10 fingers. And we'll work through our cat-cow. So as you inhale, let that belly drop, open up through those shoulder blades. And as you exhale, curl that tailbone in and up, pushing away from the ground. Imagining this wave of motion, inhaling, traveling from your tailbone all the way up to the top of your head, and then exhaling and pushing back into that cat pose. And follow your breath here, moving at whatever speed your breath is at tonight. And noticing where you are tight, maybe even taking it off the center line a little bit, making big hips, big circles with those hips perhaps, or just staying in your normal cat-cow. As you do have things rushing through your head today, I always like the visualization that there's a little basket outside the door. Then you can put all of those important things in that basket, and it will be waiting for you at the end of the practice. But for the next hour, just be present here and use that breath to stay present. Let's take one more inhale, dropping the belly, opening up the collarbone, and as you exhale, we'll sit all the way back into our child's pose. And take some time here to think about opening up through the back side of the body, really making sure you're comfortable in these postures. So if your head isn't touching the ground, feel free to use a blanket or a pillow or a piece of clothing to raise the ground up to your head. If you're feeling really tight through those shoulders, it might feel nice to bring your hands back towards your feet. And you can also play with your knees being wide on the mat or close together. Noticing how that lets your body settle into your child's pose, and also if you're feeling a different stretch based on how you have your knees. And focus on your breath here. We'll take 5 deep breaths. Staying back in child's pose, lift your head off the ground slightly, straighten through your arms, bring them back over in front of you if they're behind you. Take your right hand and bring it palm facing up. We're going to bring the right arm underneath the left armpit and come down on that right shoulder, also on the right side of the head. Breathe here, start to feel that opening underneath the right shoulder blade and that upper back. See if you can settle in here for 5 breaths. Push into that left hand, and we'll bring that right arm out, bringing that up in front of you. We're taking it to the other side now, bringing your left palm towards the ceiling, and then weaving that, threading that needle, bringing it under that right armpit and coming down on your left cheek, breathing here. Still feel free to use something under your head if it's not naturally laying on the ground. Notice if you feel a difference on this side, and see if you can really start to bring that breath into those places where you need to release. And pushing into that right hand, we'll take that left hand out, bringing it forward. On your next inhale, pull yourself back up to hands and knees. So take one round of cat-cow. So inhale, dropping your belly, gazes forward. Excuse me as I take my socks off here. Exhale, curling through that spine. Inhale to a nice neutral back. We'll curl the toes under and push those hips back, coming into your first down dog. So really think about the hips getting back. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Try to get this long line from your fingertips to your tailbone. And imagine your head and your chest, your heart, are being drawn towards those feet, letting the ears come between the arms. And then you can start thinking about pushing those heels down towards the ground, feeling that nice opening on the back of the legs. Nice strong down dog here. Some days it feels not nice and some days it feels impossible. And on the bottom of your exhale, slowly walk those feet to the front of the mat, and we'll come into our ragdoll pose. Feet are right below the hips, the hip bones. Let the upper body just hang like a ragdoll. Hands can come into opposite elbows, or they can hang down low. Try to have that heart below, that head below the heart if you can. And just gently let gravity help with this inversion. Connect back with your breath. Notice if your mind is wandering. On the next couple of breaths, notice if there's any tension anywhere in the body that you can release. On your next inhale, we'll straighten through the spine, coming into our halfway lift. So nice long line from the tailbone to the top of the head. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands can come to the shins, the thighs, maybe even to the floor, but we're just trying to get that long line. Take an extra breath here. Exhale, forward fold. One more time, inhaling, halfway lift, straight back. Exhale, forward fold. This time, bend your knees slightly, get that straight back, and inhale those arms up overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart. Letting those palms come forward, coming into your mountain pose. I'm working through a couple of sunbursts here, connecting our motion to our breath. Let's inhale those arms up overhead. As you exhale, diving forward, forward fold. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, comes all the way back up to standing. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, up for standing. And exhale, hands to heart. One more time. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale, diving forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, back up to standing. And exhale, hands to heart. Let those palms come forward. Bring your feet hip distance apart, so they should be right underneath those hip bones. Close your eyes if it's comfortable. And let's settle into our mountain pose. So start by shifting your weight a little bit side to side, forward and back, noticing where you tend to hold your weight. See if you can get it even between the pads of your feet and your heels. Lift up your toes, spread them wide. See if you can lower them down nice and slowly. Keeping your knees from locking out so they have a little bit of bounce to them. Imagine engaging your quads so that your kneecaps raise up, tucking that tailbone so your pelvis comes straight up as if it's a bowl, and you don't want to spill any water to the rim. Let those shoulder blades come down the back, shoulders coming away from the ears, and imagine growing tall through the crown of your head, maybe even tucking the chin in slightly to get that length through the back of the neck, palms face forward. Deepen your breath and just scan your body, noticing what sensations you're feeling tonight. Slowly begin to bring your weight into your left foot. Feel your center of gravity, finding that place of balance over the left foot. We're going to come right into our tree pose tonight. So come up on those left toes. Right toes. Bring that right knee up and then out to the side. The foot can come below the kneecap or above the kneecap. Just make sure it's not right on that kneecap. And you can also keep the toes on the ground if you'd like tonight. Hands come to heart center. Find that drishti, that place that's not moving. And let's stay here in our tree pose for 10 breaths. So if you fall out of it, just come back into it. See if you can find that center of gravity and connect that with your breath. Engage your core for a little bit more stability. You can keep your hands at prayer or maybe let those branches grow wide. And let that right knee come forward, stepping it down, shaking it out. What happens when you hold this pose longer? Does that self-doubt creep in? Oh, I can't balance. My balance is awful tonight. Or wow, I'm really finding some nice centering tonight. Are you noticing muscles that are working on this tree that you didn't notice when we do it for only 5 breaths? Let's shift the weight over into that right foot. Engage your core and inhale that left knee forward and then out to the side. Again, just make sure it's not right on the kneecap. And we'll settle in here for a nice long tree. Option again to leave the hands at heart center or let those branches grow. One more deep breath here. Inhale that left knee forward and step it down. You can shake out those legs. The biggest challenge tonight might be mental as you stay in these poses. Inhale those arms up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale through your flat back. Bring your hands down to the mat next to the feet, and we'll step the left leg to the back of the mat, coming into our runner's lunge. So take some time, make sure that right knee is right above the right ankle. Push through that left heel. We're going to stay here for just about 3 or 4 breaths. So you can stay with your left knee off the ground, or you can let that left knee drop down to the ground as well. Just starting to get a gentle opening through the hips. Really, if your knee is off the ground, really active through that left heel, pushing it back, and you'll feel that stretch intensify on the front of the leg. As you inhale here, bring your weight forward into that right leg. And as you exhale, step the left foot forward, forward, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up through standing. Then exhale, hands to heart. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale, diving forward. Inhale, flat back. Hands come to the mat, and this time we'll step that right leg to the back of the mat. So you do want to make sure this is a nice long stride. You don't want the knee over front of your foot. You want it right over the ankle. Push through that right heel. Option to drop that right knee down to the mat. Take one more breath here. Inhale your weight back into that left foot, and as you exhale, step your right foot forward, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up through standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale those arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Hands come to the mat, step the left foot back. This time we're going to plant into our left hand and inhale the right arm open to the side, twisting to the right. Same option to drop onto that left knee, or to keep that knee off the ground and start to feel that twist, feel that opening on the outside of the right leg in the lower back. Anytime you twist, you want to imagine that spine staying nice and straight, so you don't want to hunch over. You want to keep that length, and then imagine you're twisting around that axis, that center line. Breathe deep into the belly, and as you exhale and let that air out of the belly, you'll create more space to twist into it. Let's take one more inhale here. Exhale that right arm down. Inhale your weight forward into that right leg, and exhale, step the left foot forward, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up through standing. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Hands come to the mat, step the right leg back. Get that nice long stride, and then plant into the right arm, and inhale that left arm open to the side, twisting to the left. Breathing here. Pushing through that right heel. Deep breath into that belly. One more inhale here. And exhale, bring that left hand down. Inhale your weight forward. Exhale, step the right foot forward, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up through standing. And exhale, hands to heart. Let's put that together a little bit faster. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, flat back, hands come to the mat. Exhale, step that left foot back. Plant into the left hand. Inhale, the right arm open. And exhale, the right arm back down. Inhale your weight forward into that right leg. Exhale, step the left foot forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, up through standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Taking it to the other side, inhaling arms up. Exhale, diving forward. Inhale, flat back. Hands come to the mat, step that right leg back. Plant into the right hand. Inhale, the left arm open. Exhale, the left arm down. Inhale, weight into that left leg. And exhale, step the right foot forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, up through standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Let's take it one more time on both sides. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale, diving forward. Inhale, flat back. Hands come to the mat. Exhale, steps that left foot back. Plant into the left hand. Inhale, the right arm open. Exhale, the right arm down. Inhale your weight into your right foot. And exhale, step that left foot forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, up through standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Last time on the right side. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale, diving forward. Inhale, flat back. Hands come to the mat. Step that right leg back. Plant into the right hand. Inhale that left arm up. Exhale the left arm down. Inhale the weight forward. And exhale, step that right foot forward, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up through standing. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhale here. As you exhale, let those palms come forward, arriving in your mountain pose. Notice your heartbeat. Notice your breath. Can you start to lengthen your breath and scan your body? How do those hips feel, those quads? Your shoulders down away from your ears. Can you stay focused on your breath? Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, flat back. Hands come to the mat. We'll step both legs to the back of the mat and let the hips come back, pushing into your down dog. Taking a moment to notice if the legs feel more open than they did at the beginning of class. 2 more breaths here. Inhale, drop down to hands and knees. And exhale, sit back into child's pose for 5 breaths. As you inhale, we'll pull back up to hands and knees. Make sure the knees are right below the hips. We're going to walk the hands forward and come down on our forearms, settling into our puppy dog pose. So you can let your forehead come down to the earth or your chin. Again, if you're really tight through the shoulders, then you might want to grab a pillow or an article of clothing. Really letting that heart sink down, feeling that openness through the shoulder blades. See if you can breathe into there, into the back of your neck. And let's hold this pose for 10 breaths. If it's really intense, come up a little bit. Use your breath to work your edge, but don't push it or you'll end up injuring yourself. See if you can find ease in this pose. And plant into your forearms, making sure they're parallel to each other. We'll bring the whole body forward, coming down onto the hips, coming into Sphinx pose. Try to get the elbows right below the shoulders. If your back is tight, then you might want to move them out a little further to decrease that angle. Think about that pelvis grounding down into the mat. So if your pelvis is like a bowl facing forward now, really trying to get those bones down into the mat, get length through your lower back. Pushing the forearms and the hands into the earth. Imagine dragging them backwards so that you're opening through that collarbone, shining the heart forward, and your head is an extension of your spine. So instead of cranking it back, your gaze can be out between those hands. Breathe deep. Moving that stretch from puppy dog where we were focusing on the top of our back all the way down to the lower back now, stretching it out. Three more breaths here. Let the elbows come out to the side so you can come down onto your cheek, bend into those knees, and let the legs windshield wiper side to side, releasing that lower back. We're going to transition to a little bit of a restorative pose, which might feel like a good stretch. And for some of you, it might not feel like that much of a stretch at all, but we're going to hold it for a couple of moments and see if we can get a little bit of release. So from here, let the legs come down, and you can keep the arms by the cheeks, staying on that. Let's start by coming to your right cheek. Keep your right leg straight back behind you. We're going to bend into our left knee and bring it up to the side at a 90-degree angle. So this is called a restorative half frog. There's other versions of half frogs, but we're laying flat on our stomachs, and that leg is out to the side, and we're just gently letting gravity help us to open up through that left hip. If you want, you can put a blanket or something under that knee if it's uncomfortable. And just take your time here. Breathe slowly and see if you can melt a little bit into the ground here. Taking the next few breaths to scan that body for tension. I find sometimes I don't even realize I'm clenching somewhere. And when I find it and release it, it's like I can go a little bit deeper into the pose. We're going to take 4 more deep breaths on this side. And then when you're ready, straighten out that leg. You can bring your head to the other cheek. Your neck might be a little tight. Bend into those knees, let them windshield wiper a little bit side to side. And we'll take this to the other side. So let the legs come straight, keeping that left leg straight. We'll bend into the right knee, bringing it up into that 90 degrees, and then coming onto your left cheek. So you're facing the direction of the bent knee. Flex through that foot and settle in here. Is there anything more you can relax for the next 3 breaths? And then gently straighten out that right leg. You can bring your head back through center or maybe back over to the other cheek. Bend into those knees and let the back slowly release. Windshield wipering them side to side. And protecting the lower back, bring the hands beside the chest. We're going to push up into our hands and knees, but engage your core first. Make sure those abs are tight, and then push yourself up so that you're protecting that lower back. Curl your toes under, and we'll push right back into down dog. 2 more breaths here. Inhale to come down to hands and knees. Sit back on those heels and bring the legs out in front of you. come into that cross-legged position that we used to start class. And we'll sit up nice and tall here. Feeling that length through the spine. It feels nice and stretched out now that we've been on our bellies and have stretched out the back a little bit. Let's work into some side bends here. Inhaling, arms up. As you exhale, let that left arm come down, reaching over to the left. Inhaling through center and exhaling to the right. Inhaling through center. Exhale to the left. Inhale through center. Exhale to the right. Follow your own breath. 2 more times on each side. And next time you come to the left, let's hold it here. Maybe you can even bring your elbow down to the ground, really getting deep into this bend, but try to keep your right hip grounded. So I can't quite have my elbow come down to the earth here. Nice and open through that chest. We're going to stretch out our shoulder a little bit here. So bring that arm, extend it up overhead, and then imagine there's a kind of a high piece of furniture right in front of you. We're going to bring the arm out in front of us, so it's facing straight out, and then inhale, bring it back up overhead. Exhale, bring it forward, stretching it out, so my palm is facing down. Inhale, and just feel that stretch on the right side of the body and into that shoulder blade. Exhale, inhale, exhale. Inhale, one more time. Exhale, and we'll inhale and hold the stretch for a couple breaths. Really let that chest get open. Maybe your gaze comes up towards the ceiling. And we'll come back up through center, nice and gently. Exhale that right hand down, bending over to the right. Getting nice and deep here, as deep as you can while you can still keep that left hip down on the ground. Inhale here, and as you exhale, we'll do the same thing, bringing that arm forward. Inhale, exhale forward. Inhale here. Feeling all those little different muscles around the shoulder and down the side of the body, stretching out. One more time, exhaling forward, reaching forward. And inhale, bringing it up overhead, holding that bend, maybe gazing up towards that arm, opening through the chest. Breathe here. And staying long through that spine, we'll bring that right arm up. Exhale, hands to heart. Okay. Let's let the legs come nice and wide, out straight, sitting up nice and tall. Try to get that spine straight up and down. You can lift your hips up on this as well if you need to get a little bit more room for your spine to come up straight. Inhale the arms up overhead, and exhale, fold right down the middle, letting the hands land wherever they land. Maybe you can come down onto your elbows. Maybe you can walk the arms up further, but take your time here. We're going to take a nice long stretch. I feel a huge difference in my legs when I do this stretch. My left leg is so much looser than my right leg. So
I'm trying to even it out, trying to stay centered. And here's another pose that we're going to hold for an extended period of time. So see if you can deepen your breath and slowly release into this pose. So taking these longer stretches is almost like a yin practice in a way where you're holding poses for 2 to 3 minutes. Notice if your mind starts to wander and come back to that breath. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And use those hands to walk yourself back up to seated, getting long through that spine. Draw the knees in. Maybe even windshield wipering those legs a little bit side to side here. And we're going to move it over to a wall. So I do have an option if you don't have a wall available to come up against. So I'm going to just show you how to get into legs up the wall. If you have a pillow or a block, you can bring that over to the wall to get some elevation. I'm going to put the pillow right up against the wall, and then I'm going to come and scoot myself up right against the wall. So I'm sitting against the wall, coming over into the side and pushing my butt up right against the wall. That way, I have the pillow right behind my back. As I come onto my back, the pillow is underneath my hips, and my legs are up the wall. So if you have a wall, you can go ahead and get set up. If you don't have a pillow, that's okay as well. We'll still feel the nice inversion, getting those feet up in the air. And if you do not have a wall, if you have the edge of a bed, it could be nice to have your legs up on the bed, maybe even fold it over the bed. Or if you do have a block or a pillow, you can bring your hips up into bridge and bring that block right below that sacrum. That's that solid, flat place on your lower back, and then just bring your legs up into the air. So having that same inversion off the wall. So wherever you are, let's settle in here. And just start to really feel the benefits of this over time. So take your time here. I'm going to go back to the wall. Let the palms come to your sides, palms facing up towards the ceiling. And you can imagine your legs are hip distance apart, or you can actually have your legs hip distance apart, but almost like when we're standing in that mountain pose. And here, We are going to notice over time the sensation of that relaxing of the legs. And a reminder, as things start to come into your brain, letting them just pass through. If it's something you have to take care of, then leaving it outside the door when you have time to take care of it after practice. Focus on your breath. We'll take one more minute here, so you can keep your legs straight up, or sometimes it's fun to play with taking this into a butterfly pose with the soles of your feet together, or one I particularly like is letting the legs come nice and wide. You need like triple the wall space to do this one, but just like when we did our seated forward fold with our wide legs, this one really lets gravity stretch out the inside of these legs. Feels really nice. We'll just take another 3 deep breaths wherever you are. And to come out of this, bend into those knees, bring them into the chest, and roll back over onto your side, removing whatever block or pillow is behind you. And we're gonna stay on our back, so you can push back up, get back to your mat. If your mat's by the wall, feel free to stay at the wall for the remainder of practice. Make your way onto your back with the knees up into the air, feet down on the mat. Just feeling how those feet feel, how the legs feel. Now that we let our blood flow, work against gravity a little bit there and lower that blood pressure a bit. Let's inhale to stretch the arms and legs nice and long. Exhale, draw those knees into the chest. Let the arms come out to the side, and let the knees drop to the left, coming into a supine twist. Gaze can be out over that right shoulder. Breathe here. One more deep breath here. Option to hold it longer if you'd like. We'll inhale the knees back through center. Give them a nice squeeze, and then let those knees drop over to the right. Gaze out over that left shoulder. Twisting here. This is another pose where it's sometimes nice to use a pillow between your knees. If you find your left knee is hovering, it's nice to add a block or a pillow just so that they can relax. Then we'll inhale those knees back through center. Give yourself a hug. If there's any final poses you'd like to take, any extra stretches, feel free to do those now. Otherwise, we'll let the legs come long. Let the palms come up towards the ceiling. Take a moment to get cozy. So if you want to put socks on, a sweater on, a blanket, feel free. And we'll settle into our last extended pose, our Shavasana. Maybe taking a deep breath, sighing it out. And sinking into the mat here for our final couple of minutes here. And start to deepen that breath. Bringing motion back into the chest and stomach, waking up the body, wiggling those fingers and toes, wrists and ankles, and eventually taking a nice stretch up overhead. Bringing the knees into the chest and making your way over onto your right side in a fetal position for a breath or two. And with eyes closed, gently pushing yourself up into a seat. Taking a moment to just reflect on the practice, noticing how it was for you to hold those poses, your mind and your body. Were you able to find ease? Tying it back to life right now as we have this time to go inward. Are we at peace? Or are we uneasy and antsy, and is our mind racing? How can we work on our patience and try to find some ease and joy right now? Thank you all for practicing with me tonight. The light in me sees and honors the light in each of you. Namaste.